Pablo Escobar is probably one of the most successful drug dealers that have walked this earth. So, what happened to the real estate of the infamous drug dealer? To find out, watch until the end of the video. For nearly 25 years, Pablo Escobar, one of the most well-known criminal kingpins of the 20th century, has been dead. Despite this, his legend and attraction endure. Many regard him as a dangerous criminal, but in Medellin, Colombia, he was viewed as a Robin Hood-like person who helped the needy. Escobar and his cartel were worth billions of dollars at one point. What happened to Pablo Escobar's infamous mansion, we wondered. First, it is important to have a bit of background into the person considered one of the most infamous drug dealers in history. Escobar's family moved to Envigado, Colombia, a suburb of Medellin, shortly after his birth. His father was a farmer, while his mother was a school teacher. He began his criminal career while still a teenager, and his early illicit operations included selling bogus diplomas, smuggling radio equipment, and stealing tombstones to the market. Escobar was also a car thief, and it was for this crime that he was arrested for the first time in 1974. As Colombia's cocaine industry flourished, thanks in part to its closeness to major coca growers such as Peru, Ecuador, and Bolivia, Escobar became involved in drug smuggling. In the mid-1970s, he assisted in the formation of the Medellin cartel, a crime syndicate. Juan David, Jorge Luis, and Fabio Ochoa were among his prominent collaborators. Escobar led the operation, which was primarily focused on the manufacturing, transportation, and sale of cocaine. These operations amassed a lot of money for the drug dealer, which he pumped into lavish estates. Let's have a look at the state of his real estate today. Hacienda Nápoles was purchased by Pablo Escobar in 1978, years before he went on the run. His estate, which spans 7.7 miles, quickly became as magnificent as his authority in the 1970s and 1980s. Escobar built his utopia with no expense spared, as he did with many other facets of his life. Hacienda Nápoles had a vast Spanish colonial mansion, a sculpture garden, an airstrip, numerous swimming pools, gorgeous lawns, artificial lakes, and even a private zoo, complete with exotic birds, horses, elephants, rhinoceros, and hippos by the time it was finished. Pablo Escobar's residence functioned as a display of his tremendous fortune and a lavish refuge for the kingpin and his family and friends. So in the 1980s, when Escobar was at the height of his power, he could park his jet on the airstrip, walk through his life-size dinosaur statues, and select whether he wanted to visit his zoo go-kart track or bull ring. For the drug boss, it wasn't a bad trade at all. Even though Hacienda Nápoles was not Pablo Escobar's lone home, it was undoubtedly his favorite. And with millions of dollars coming in every day, he had enough funds to guarantee that the house was outfitted with every convenience he could imagine. He displayed his extensive collection of old automobiles and motorcycles and a racetrack for his go-karts. Even though Hacienda Nápoles was not Pablo Escobar's lone home, it was undoubtedly his favorite. And with millions of dollars coming in every day, he had enough funds to guarantee that the house was outfitted with every convenience he could imagine. The Escobar family found itself at war with the Colombian government over the ownership of Hacienda Nápoles after the drug lord was shot and killed by Colombian police in 1993. The government subsequently took over the land. The majority of the creatures were transported to other zoos after officials recognized they wouldn't be able to handle them all. While the authorities successfully removed most of the animals from the estate, they were unsuccessful in removing 4 of Escobar's most cherished pets, his 4 hippos. This was due to their difficulty in capturing and transporting them. Hacienda Nápoles was valued at 5 billion pesos in 2006, about 2.23 million at the time. The estate had just been proclaimed Colombian state property at that time as well. As part of a 1991 agreement with Colombian authorities, Medellin cartel head Pablo Escobar chose a location high above his valley in the cold highlands for his self-designed prison. A deal with the Colombian government was reached after 6 months of secret negotiations. Escobar would be imprisoned, but the prison will be built to his specifications on 3 hectares of land he had purchased in anticipation of a possible deal with the government. La Catedral, or the Cathedral, was the name of the complex. It wasn't a religious reference, but rather a gesture to its magnificence. Unofficially, it was known as Club Medellin or Hotel Escobar, and resort is a better word than jail to describe it. Escobar's plans included a jacuzzi in the bathroom and a circular rotating bed in the bedroom. A soccer field, a discotheque, a doll home for his daughter, and its own bar were all part of the estate. A waterfall was also present. It contained cellular phones, radio transmitters, and a fax machine to let him carry on with his operation, which brought his cartel $60 million per day at its peak, and allowed him to control up to 80% of the cocaine smuggled to the United States. Like many other old Escobar buildings that still dot Medellin's cityscape, La Catedral sat empty for years as the city disregarded it. Bathtubs, pipes, tiles, and roof components were stripped. Many of Envigado's El Salado homes were constructed using prison building supplies. Thousands of treasure hunters, including troops and police, were tempted by rumors of buried bins containing millions of dollars. One treasure hunter even hired a psychic to assist in the search. The gardens were dug up and the walls were demolished. There was never a single dollar discovered. Treasure hunters who were unsuccessful in their search were frequently left with a brick or other memento of the prison. The property was eventually given to the city of Envigado. In 2007, a group of Benedictine monks from the Benedictina Fraternidad Monastica Santa Gertrudis arrived for study and prayer, living a hermitic lifestyle. A chapel, housing rooms, a restaurant, and a library were created. The city eventually gave them the entire plot of land so they could create an asylum for Envigado's destitute and elderly. Construction is still going on today. Although Escobar's famed mansion was demolished in 2016, the 30,000 square foot parcel at 5860 North Bay Road is still outstanding real estate, listing for up to $15.9 million. The land is up for sale, as are plans to build a contemporary mansion on the property, complete with an office, gym, and home theater. A recent architectural rendering shows an alleged 8-bedroom home with floor-to-ceiling glass walls, wraparound terraces, large lounge decks, outdoor kitchens, infinity-edge pools, and soaring palm trees on the 2 visible floors, and likely a below-grade basement. Escobar's estate was built in 1948 and had 4 bedrooms and 6 baths when U.S. Marshals confiscated it in 1987. After that, the U.S. government sold it to Miami attorney Roger Schindler for $915,000. Christian de Bordure, the proprietor of Chicken Kitchen, purchased the property for $9.65 million in 2004 to develop a new mansion. It was never completed. The suggested design is in stark contrast to Escobar's estate, which was far from a discreet hideaway. His former home, which he bought for $765,500 in 1980, was a 7,336 square foot pastel pink mansion with black tiles and a pool, exactly what a daring drug lord would prefer in the showy 1980s. The drug lord also has a lavish home on the Caribbean island of Grande. There were separate apartments, a swimming pool, and a helipad on the site. It was assumed that his cartel members were housed in different apartments. The property is now in a condition of disrepair. It's half demolished and home to a variety of wild creatures. That's it for the video. Don't hesitate to let us know what you think in the comments section. And don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to this channel to get more videos and click the bell button to enable notifications.